Abdur Kalanamasa Ubazun Emma Kasama Empire. Begin all prayers and thinking as part of all. Anaki Dakhal Pa'asak Empire. Ukalao Shakawan Dakami. Anaki Kasama Nafapat. Upakawan Kasam Upakawan Kasama Nafapni. Anaki Wahu Emma Pa'at. Upakawan Wahu Emani. Nuk Kadur Naju Emma Kasama Nafapat. Awukabu Emma Shakaskun. Nukadur Kamun Kalapa, Nukuragub de Kalpa Talama, Regabni Coenlia Baheda Kalpa, Anaki Abad being the fasting, Pa'akoen, Anaki, Pakadur, Nukadur, Pa'amo, Nukamu, Who, Panathomi Nukshayu, Kawula Lobi Who. That is, begin all prayers and thinking as a part of all. I am in the love of all, and all love is in me. I am a part of all, and all is a part of me. I am one as all, and all is one as me. I can succeed as a part of all or fail as an individual person. I can be all that I wish in all as long as my wish is to stay in all. I am never alone. All is, I am. All can, I can. All does, I do. Who? The guardian, who nothing would exist except by way of him. The second one is Nuk ta order flogman, antitini inaset, Anaki timli pata, Ankili papipu, Nuk halatu, Ila paliolet, Nuk gabaltu, Paliolet emma bikun, Anaki pamahoy shalanataro, Pare shalanataro, Pamusturasio shalanataro, Anaki fi pat no war shalabre, Pat no war shalabre kawandakoni, Anaki hayu, zi nasuf. I fly up from you, O mortals. I am not for the earth, I am for the skies. I have soared to the skies. I have kissed the skies as a falcon. I am the essence of the guardians, the light of the guardians, the messenger of the guardians. I am life itself. All right, so let's get started. Where we left off was on scroll 14. God is oneness. I usually start from my right, but this time we'll start from the left, which brings Son at number 1. So, Mr. Son, if you could...
46?
Page 46.
Oh, okay.
Scroll 14. If you could take 1 through 10. Yes.
Scroll 14.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mine your mind for the jewels of your soul.
Yes.
Scroll 14, God, oneness.
God is oneness.
God is oneness. 19 times 2 equals 38. 1. Load, O ye humans. What's the word?
Ponder.
Ponder on this thought. 2. A close look at these elements which ye takes for granted leaves one in all of the guiding cosmic intelligence. 3. Water, H2O, for instance, is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. And this is what the Holy Tablet, chapter 1, tablet 8, verses 28 through 29 says about the atoms. 28. The simplest particles of life is a quark of which atoms are composed. The atom is the smallest unit of an element that retains all of the element's properties. 29. All things are made up of atoms, which are composed of quarks. It is the smallest of any substance. This is called quantum physics. 4. When hydrogen by itself comes into contact with fire, it reacts with explosions. 5. Oxygen reacts with fire to make it burn more fiercely. 6. Yet, in combinations as water, they will quench fire and cool off the body. 7. if one professes of having any intelligence at all, he or she must ask him or herself, what is the source of this intricate engineering? 8. Only an intelligent power is capable of such creation. 9. God. 10. All life is interconnected.
Yes. All right.
So,
yeah, that's where you stop, right? Just kind of look over those verses and tell me what your thought.
My thought on this is that everything is, the atoms are small, right? But everything's like our bodies are made of atoms, right? So we combust a lot as far as like giving out energies and thoughts. To me, this is what I'm thinking, right? So like mood swings, for instance, right? So at one point you get mad and like something combusts, right? So in the universe, in our body, things are exploding all the time, right? So, and we drink water to cool it down. So that's how I feel. Okay. Because like I'm always naturally hot, right? And when I get out of the shower, I'm just like.
So what do you think about the fact that if we had hydrogen to fire, get an explosion? So then if we have like hydrogen plus oxygen, it kills the fire.
Well, yeah. Then the hydrogen, it's a gas that creates that reacts to atoms to make it explode. But sometimes when you put oxygen to it, like air, it can induce the fire when you submerge with water,
which is
H2O.
Right. Okay. All right. So,
but if it's a gas, if it's grease fire, then you can't do it.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Right. So
I didn't let Mr. Son. All right. So let me go to the chocolate.
I saw something there.
What did you see?
I saw that it was talking about how all things are made of atoms, which are composed of quarks.
Yes.
This is the smallest of any substance. This is called quantum physics.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Yulee?
Like,
or questions?
That's my question. Like, I'm trying to I feel like that was one of the most important things.
Why?
Because it's talking about how everything is made of atoms.
True.
And the quantum physics is the smallest atom. If not, no.
No, quantum physics is a study.
Yeah. Okay.
But, all right. So
atoms are the smallest thing.
All right. So what it's saying is that quarks, all atoms. I'll let you finish first.
Okay.
All right. You said all okay. What do you mean all okay?
It is the smallest of any substance.
What is?
Atoms.
Yeah, atom. Okay, an atom is the smallest unit of an element that retains that element's property. What does that mean? That means if I have the element, hydrogen, which is the very first element, we call it H1, and it is one proton. How many electrons? This tells you how many electrons it will have.
One.
H1. So this is one atom of hydrogen. Now, if we have 2 electrons, then it's no longer hydrogen, it's helium. And I think it's also 2 protons around a nucleus. Now, when it says an atom is the smallest unit of an element that retains the element's properties, it's saying we can have one atom of hydrogen or helium that still identifies as hydrogen or go smaller helium. So as long as we get that one proton, one electron, that's of atom, that's a helium atom. But you can have multiple helium atoms. But going all the way back to just that one proton and one electron that began it all is one atom of hydrogen on this side of where we are. We'll call this the physical. This is everything that you see, hear, taste, smell, and feel on this side. Then there is another side that hydrogen starts here, what some scientists call the Big Bang. The first element was hydrogen. After that came everything else. The carbon, the oxygen, the nitrogen, everything came after H1. It's like the grandfather of it all. But it too is composed of smaller particles called
atoms.
No, we said that an atom is the smallest unit of that element that maintains that element's properties. So we can have an atom of hydrogen or a hydrogen atom.
Something smaller than that?
Yeah, there's something smaller than that. What did it say?
Quarks.
Where does it say that?
It says it is the smallest of any substance.
It says what?
Quantum physics.
It says what is the smallest unit?
It says all things are composed
Of quarks.
All things are made of atoms which are composed of quarks.
So hydrogen atom is composed of what? Quarks. Now, but quarks are not on this side of what we call existence, because the weight of H1 our physical existence starts at hydrogen, but there's something before hydrogen called quarks. Mm-hmm. That takes us over to
the spiritual, right?
Close, yeah.
Ether. I've been in science class for a long time.
Yeah, no problem. Either. Yeah. Takes us over onto the etheric side. Now, I'm going to go into chakras and we're going to talk about this etheric side. When we left off last week, we were talking about skip legs day.
One leg bigger than the other. I know. Hold on. I never skip leg day. That's y'all.
So we were talking. We were talking about.
Oh yeah. Worked up. Oh, God.
Right.
Up.
We were talking about the chakra systems. Chakra is a Sanskrit word that simply means a wheel, or something that revolves, turns. Your body, your body has a certain amount of chakras. Most people are aware of the 7 major chakras, going down from your what's it called? Your private area, down either right below at the very base of your spine, your root, coming up, then it's 2 inches below your navel. Then you got the solar plexus. Then you got the heart chakra, the throat chakra. Then you have the third eye chakra, and you have the crown chakra. However, most people are familiar with those 7 because the people who produce the literature on those 7 chakras have 7 chakras, mostly East Indians. There's actually 9 chakras. 9, if you are, and it depends on your race. If you are of African, there are 9 chakras. There's one also at the navel. And what we call the pyramid, or the nose. Then the East Indians or Asians have 7 major chakras. Then the other family, Kakasu or Caucasians, have 6 and some have 5.
Yeah, just lower and lower.
Right. Now, the chakra system corresponds also to organs of the body. The spleen, the liver, the solar plexus, kidney, your heart, your thyroid, your pituitary, and your pineal, those glands. Why is that even important? Last week we talked about the 7 heavens. Some people say, oh, there's, the 7 heavens, but they don't tell you what those 7 heavens are. And those 7 heavens correspond to certain planes of existence. We live on what we call this physical plane. I'll put this down here, physical. Then up and above that is what's called the plane of force. Above that one is called the spiritual plane. The next one is called the mental plane. The next one is called the plane of divine truth. The next one after that is called the plane of divine reality. And then the next is the all, which we will all return to. Now, all of this is coming from Panabab Yanun. Now, how does the 7 heavens, the 7 or 5 to 9 chakras, relate to you, and why is it even important? Every 7 years, a chakra opens, like is born. So when you were age 0 to 7, your root chakra was developing. That root chakra is characterized by the color red. It's very important in that time frame that you have physical contact with the mother, not necessarily the father. Now, even a baby, when first born and you put the baby on the mother's stomach, the baby will just somehow know to crawl up to the breast and breastfeed. That root chakra is most active in a child up to 7 years old because it's about survival on Earth. It's where they first learn that they are safe here on Earth. If that process of that child bonding with that mother is interrupted, then that chakra starts to cascade, start to either collapse out of fear or becomes overexcited. But in some way it gets congested and blocked. And if that is not remedied, and say the child grows up, then that child is going to have issues with his or her existence here on Earth. A feeling that I don't fit, I don't belong, I can't do anything right. There's no one that's going to look out for me. I'm not going to be protected. And when a person is operating out of that mindset, they will do anything. It can be they can go out to hurt people because nobody's taking care of me anyway, or they'll start searching for a fix to fill in that gap. And this is why some people become sexaholics or drug addicts, because there is that void that they're trying to fill. Now, there is a way to remedy that, and it's related to the vibration of this chakra, which tells you its color and its mood is red. So a person in this state, there's something called color therapy. They would have to be out in the sun often, wear the color red, something that starts to get that chakra back opening. these chakras open and close through something that's called, well, I won't go into this until later, nadis. Nadis are, it's like the lotus flower of Egypt. It opens at night. It opens very slowly but very widely. And then during the day it collapses again. Your chakras are the same way. At certain times they blossom and open, and at other times they close. Now, when this chakra closes, that means no other energy, it can't send its energy and it can't receive energy, and this person is out of control based on this controls their thought. They're always thinking sex, or they're always thinking drug. They're always thinking something base to try to fill in that void. The next one. Is characterized by the color orange and the corresponding frequency of light of orange. If you look at the light spectrum, whatever that frequency is the frequency of this particular chakra. It's from 7 to 14. That's where you're starting to connect with your relatives and your friends, your social life, and you're starting to find your footing and your social aspect. If this is interrupted, especially in this day and time with what is it called? Not child pornography. What is it called? Child trafficking and things of that nature. Especially in times of war. When there's war, a lot of the kids are taken advantage of. I just remember when in Haiti, when they had that earthquake, and then there were a lot of Christian organizations supposedly there to help, but many of them were preying on the kids. They would get the kids out of there and sell them into this child trafficking scheme. Now, when this, so too, the children that were taken from their parents at the border, children are always preyed upon, and this, that 7 to 14-year-old, it causes, if you were somehow accosted in between 7 or 14 or undergo some sort of trauma when you're in that developmental stage from 7 to 14, you won't learn how to connect with friends or family. You'll feel isolated. You feel like you won't have much of a social life. It'll be hard for you to socialize. It'll be hard for you to convey your feelings. And again, it creates a void. And then people do certain things to fill that void. Now, this happens with each of your chakras that begin to open. A healthy chakra means you'll succeed in life. No matter what challenge or obstacle you're presented with, you'll surmount it because nature is flowing through your system, and you'll just somehow know instinctively how to move, where to move, when to move. If there's blockages in this system, then you're either going to feel disconnected. You don't know what to do. You're going to get frustrated equally. And then you're going to collapse in on yourself. And this is what we don't want. You got to be able to keep these chakras open. How? And let me keep going up. The next one is yellow.
I have a question.
I have answers. Yes, Ms. Coretta.
Can you name the chakra? What was the one above the root? The one we just finished?
That orange one. That is your. They call it the navel seat, but that's only because they're most people call it the navel seat because they're unaware that there's another one above it that is actually the navel seat. This one is actually 2 inches below your navel, and it is called. They have a. Most of the words are Indian words. I forgot the Nahuatl words for it. 1 second. All right, so Tito's going to get that particular scroll so I can get you the exact name, Coretta, so that you can do your own research.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so this first one in Sanskrit is called the Muladhara chakra. I forgot the name of the second one in Sanskrit, but Tito will look those up. That's the orange one that's 2 inches below your navel. Oh, let me mention this.
Base.
How to activate your...
Is it the Manipura?
Yeah, which one? Third or second?
The third.
Yeah, okay. The Manipura chakra. Yes, the Manipura chakra.
Also called the solar plexus chakra.
Yes.
How do you activate all these?
That's what I was coming to. Now, to activate, well, first let me go through all of them, and then I'll tell you how to activate them and why. This yellow one is your third chakra, and it's related to, yellow is related to intellect on in your aura, but as it relates to your chakra, this is one of the most important. According to Panababya Noon, it is the most important because it's like Grand Central Station. It receives all the energies from your lower chakras and transforms it and sends that energy out. And it receives energy from the universe, transforms it, and sends it all throughout your body. It's Grand Central Station. Now, a very healthy solar plexus chakra will feed your entire system. Going farther up, now we come to the middle, which is green. Before I go to green, what are the root colors? There's 3 root colors. What are they?
Green.
Nope. Green is a combination of yellow and blue.
Was there 2 of them?
Yellow,
And-
cyan.
Wait, I heard Coretta say
And
red. Yep, red is one.
Oh.
And then I heard Travinci say there's something.
Red, blue, and yellow.
Red, blue,
I was just
and
going.
yellow.
I was just going by magenta, cyan, and yellow.
No.
Like
Red, blue, and yellow are your 3 colors.
But I know. I've been going like in a printer. That's what the main colors are. To
Right.
make all
Yellow.
Okay, gotcha.
to make all the other colors
What?
and
Does
black.
it have anything to do with like sky being blue or sun being yellow?
No and yes. Or how can an answer be both? No, in the sense that the sky is not blue, nor is the sun yellow or red.
It looks like it.
Right, and the reason why is because blue is a frequency of light that's traveling the fastest, and so as it reflects off of the water into the sky, it appears blue, but it's not blue. Because you'll go up in a plane and
It's all clouds.
you never see this you never fly into blue.
Yeah.
You fly into nothing.
Right.
Yeah, and then you jump
So-
out.
So these are your root colors, red, yellow, and blue. Everything after that is a combination of these particular colors.
What happens if one of your chakras is like black, like dark, like very dark color,
The dark color will be actually violet.
like darker than that, like a
Violet.
crimson,
Yeah.
a crimson red or something.
Red is your root.
Okay, so
All
it
right.
can get darker, like a dark entity type thing.
No.
Okay.
I'll come to that in a minute about entities.
Okay.
All right. So green is your heart chakra.
Why green?
That green is healing,
Green's my favorite color.
and that's why it's
yellow is
green.
mine.
My favorite color.
So green
I
is
got solar
also
plex.
green is also healing. That is your heart
show you.
center. What was
I
that?
can show you a demonstration of what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
So green is the heart center.
Mhm.
The heart radiates love. Your ability to express love, your ability to receive love, your ability to be touched without feeling threatened, and your ability to touch other things and people and animals without threatening. It radiates love.
Okay.
As
A
you-
question.
Yes.
What happened? Heartbreaks, whatever.
Mhm.
What happens to that? Will the green get destroyed?
No, the green doesn't get destroyed, but it does get altered. What do I mean by altered?
Uh-huh.
A healthy aura is a very bright, radiant green.
Okay.
When it is impaired, it becomes duller and slower in its vibration.
Oh, makes sense.
And so when your vibration starts to slow, you start to become depressed.
That makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
The next one after that is in the thyroid or the throat, which is the color blue, a light blue, like a sky blue. And the thyroid, of course, controls your what? Communication expression. But if something goes wrong with your thyroid, what happens to your body?
You have bad cholesterol.
You actually, it's
What happens to your weight?
Oh, you get increased weight.
Yeah, if you got hyperthyroid and hypothyroid, but this will affect your weight, and when it also affects how you communicate and your ability to communicate.
Okay.
After that is the third eye, which is your pituitary gland. This is when you are, I don't want to say enlightened. I don't want to use that word. This is because light is actually blinding. As we say in Nuwapu, you are endarkened, meaning you're at a stage where you can receive impressions from the universe and you can convey those impressions from the universe. It's those people where you say, how do they know all this information? It's because that the universe, like us, is living. The planet is living. Water is living. The sun is living. The universe is living. The universes are living. And when that third eye is open, you are able to receive what the universe is saying and convey what the universe is saying. Now, going back to the conveying part, how I mentioned that the yellow or the solar plexus chakra is grand central station. It's how it takes in energy from these higher chakras and communicates it. It takes the energy from the lower chakra and communicates it. And so now, let's say you have an open third eye chakra, but not so well a solar plexus chakra. This is when you'll find people, we call them space cadets. They're so far into spirituality that they can no longer function in a relative physical world. That's because they might be open here or closed somewhere here. And so that data, that information, that flow is not flowing. And they walk around talking and thinking only spiritually. But this is where you'll see some people in other cultures, they won't bathe. There's a particular culture that comes to mind in India. I forgot the name of them, but they go to what I think is the extreme. They
don't shower.
No, they don't shower. They'll probably put feces all over their body.
On their backs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's because they want to prove that they have no attachment to the physical world. They are solely living for spiritual enlightenment and have no regard for the physical body. That's
extreme.
Yeah, that is
Somebody
extreme.
put doodle on me, I'm biting them.
Right. That's extreme by our standards. But to them, it's perfectly sane and normal.
Did you put that?
What's that?
Jainism. Is it Jainism?
What'd you do with that?
That might be. I forgot what it's called. It might be.
It's spread all over you.
Now, going up farther, this is indigo, which is a very dark blue. That's your third eye. And the crown is violet, purple. Also, we call it the black light. Now, these chakras relate to, let me go back. The navel chakra.
What color is that?
It's a color in between yellow and, if you look at all these colors, red and yellow, your two primary colors, produce orange. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at yellow and blue, your two primary colors, it produces green. And then this light blue, as it gets darker, becomes an indigo color. Or if you can, let's say blue and black would give you a very dark blue, like if you think of
navy.
If you think of the sky in the morning, it appears to be a bright blue.
It's like a navy
But
blue,
then,
right?
What do you call it? What's like a navy blue?
Like navy blue, like
No. What I'm saying, when you look at the sky in the morning, are you calling that navy blue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now it's more like a
baby blue.
like a baby blue. Yeah.
What's a baby blue?
A very
Blue's
light.
blue.
No.
What is shade that book?
Man, that book is blue.
That's a
navy. That's a dark blue.
yeah, it's a dark blue.
Dark blue better.
There's shades. It's the color, but there are shades.
Yeah.
The color is blue.
There's blue, dark blue, light blue. There ain't no such thing as like
Okay.
indigo blue and blue this and blue that. And
This will be the color of this chakra.
Huh?
And it's really not the color, it's the frequency.
Frequency. So what are
So
the...
that one is there, and then this one would be, to answer San's question, you would get blue as a frequency, and then a darker frequency would be like this color. Unfortunately, this marker's not.
Now, how did they come about finding out the colors?
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
All right. So how did they come about finding out the frequencies?
The frequencies.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Does it emit like if someone who's able to achieve or has achieved like the ability to see those frequencies, do they see shades emitting off of your body?
yes. You said shapes or shades?
Shades.
Yes, that's true. Yes, they see shades. There are. What I was explaining was on these chakras, from these 5 to 9 chakras, they're all different vibrations. Red being the slowest, and violet being the highest. So let's just say this is. I'm not sure what the hertz are, but we'll just call them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we'll call these ones A and B. So they're all different vibrations of energy.
I know you have said that if you go out into nature, you can get the vibrations of the chakra, but is there any particular like scenery or any particular thing in nature that will pinpoint each chakra?
Okay, so when your chakras, this is going in somebody asked about activation, when you are out of balance, and this goes into Alani and San's question as well, you have to know yourself or have someone assess you to know where are you out of balance. This is what therapy is all about. Sometimes a therapist, they might not know this, but they can tell you where you have trouble in your life. And based on that trouble in your life, it'll relate to one of these chakras. Now, let's say you're having trouble with school, remembering information, passing grades, and then we know we're dealing with intellect in yellow. So now something is happening in our solar plexus chakra that it's imbalanced. And the remedy for that, there are certain gems, gemstones, or crystals that you could wear that could tune that chakra to its correct frequency. Or out in nature, but you have to know what in nature. Do I need to be in the land? Do I need to be with the water? Do I need to be with the sun? Do I need to be with the moon? Each chakra has its corresponding equivalents in nature. Because remember, everything out in the universe is in our body, and everything in our body is in the universe. There is no I am separate from the universe. That's a limited form of thinking. You are connected to the universe. Now, where's that chakra book? Just what page are you on?
The third chakra, 83.
All right, turn the page. It should say something like gems or...
It says color yellow to golden, associate element fire, sense sight, symbol 10 petal lotus, basic principles, shape of being.
All right, turn the page. I want to get to the crystals. Or say gems or something like that. Might say turquoise or...
Now those same gems are used.
Gemstones is the tiger's eye.
Okay.
Amber, topaz, and citrine.
Citrine. Okay. So there are certain gems for the solar plexus. He just named those three. Name them again.
Tiger's eye, amber, topaz, and citrine.
Right. So you would wear that particular gemstone, and it will tune in that particular chakra. Now,
Where do you go find them?
We're gonna get a tiger's eye.
Amazon.
yeah. These.
Real tiger's eye?
Yeah. No, not a real tiger's eye. No.
No, the stone is named Tiger's Eye.
Just the name.
Yeah, go to the zoo and rip out a tiger's eye.
No, I want a tiger's eye.
Yeah, so that's the
It's not about the gem.
you have to know why you want it. All right, let me go back.
Why do I want it?
Recording in progress.
I want that.
All right, so let me go back. Crystals are also living energy.
Okay.
Crystals absorb energy, crystals store energy, and crystals radiate energy. So, for instance, if you get the tiger's eye to remedy your solar plexus chakra, it's going to communicate with that particular chakra, bringing it into a proper frequency.
Okay.
But then, whatever it absorbed from you, it also has to be cleansed. So, periodically, you would take that crystal, that living crystal, you would rinse it under spring water, get a bottle of spring water or distilled water, cleanse it, and let it sit in the sun. That charges it. And then you put it back as a necklace or on your bracelet so that it can tune in that particular chakra. Now, the reason why this isn't publicized is because the time frame that we are in, where we talk about those cycles of time, we are coming out of a 6,000-year moon cycle under lunar gods. Lunar gods are those of the Torah, the El Elos, the Yahwehs, the Elohim, the Bible, the Fathers, the Sons, the Holy Ghost, the Jesuses, and the Qurans, the Allah, the Alihats. Those were all lunar deities of that 6,000-year period. Now that we're coming out of that 6,000-year period, we're going, I'm going to erase this, I'll put it back up here.
And you said those are called the cycles of times, right?
Okay, let me go into that. Let me just erase this. And I don't want to lose focus. I want to show you how this all relates to you. Because I'm a very practical person. I don't like to tell you just all superfluous stuff just to tell you stuff. I want you to be able to take this in and apply it to your life to start creating a better life. Now, the cycles of time that we talked about is called a 24,000-year cycle. And that cycle, it can be a 24,000 golden sun cycle or a 24,000 silver moon cycle. And these cycles are broken up into 4 6,000-year periods.
Who determined the length of those cycles?
There we go. Now, so if there is a cycle, that tells you there is an intelligence that set up the cycles, controls the cycles, monitors the cycles. All of this is in what? All. All of this is in the all. So within the all, we have beings. There's human beings, there's animal beings, if you're just looking at Earth. But up off of the Earth, now we're starting to come, as we were talking before this session began, we're talking about extraterrestrials. And now we're starting to get a glimpse into these others, the others beings, the reptilians, the Greys, the Anunnakis, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Draconians, the ones that look like the Predator, the Andromedeans. Arcturus is a star constellation. And the beings that come, for instance, I think the Riski, the Anunnaki, they are considered Arcturians because they come out of Arcturus. It's a galaxy. Those of Sirius and Orion are the Natharu, or the Natirs. So now we're starting to get a glimpse into these other beings. These cycles of time open through wormholes. As the Milky Way, not just the Earth, as the Earth is rotating our sun is also making its rotation around this universe. And we call these houses Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, Leo, Cancer, Gemini, Taurus, Aries.
And these are real houses.
Yeah, they just give them a name. If you take it, you can call them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or A, B, C, D, E, F, G up to 12.
So is it like a seasons?
Perfect. Yes, it's like seasons. And so as our Milky Way is going through these houses, it takes 24 plus thousand years to make one full cycle.
We just hit that marker.
We just hit that marker at the year 2000. And so at the year 2000, this old silver moon cycle was composed of a sun cycle, a moon cycle, a sun cycle, a moon cycle. We've just come out of the 6,000 year moon cycle. And now we are starting a 24,000 golden sun cycle, kicking off with a 6,000 year sun cycle, and then it follows again. So we are starting this 6,000 year golden sun cycle, but as you can see, there is this area that overlaps. As one thing ends, a new thing begins. Or the phoenix, out of the ashes of this will be born a new world.
So the cycles are created by the all.
The cycles are created within the all. Can I say by the all?
What can we say by higher entities?
Yes, you could say by higher entities within the all, but ultimately the all.
What do those cycles, what purpose do they serve for the existence? What do they achieve?
So why the 24,000 year cycle?
So we have a clock
question.
that has time, and it clicks and it shows us time.
Why?
Because we work based off of the time, the 24-hour time that we have within our day.
Here's what I'm getting to. It's called the doctrine of correspondence. All right. So it's all the same. The reason why we have a time, whether we call it a clock, whether we call it a year, whether we call it a precession, or the same reason we have a monitoring of time is the same reason they have a monitoring of time. You're saying we work by way of keeping track of time.
Because time is a man-made concept.
Then it's a made concept.
Made concept.
Because for us on Earth, we would say it's a man-made concept.
Correct.
But if we take it past Earth to other beings, it's still it's still a concept, just not human man-made concept. But the same reason that you and I monitor and track time is the same reason they monitor and track time. So we do it because of work that we have to do. They do it because work that they have to do. That is called the doctrine of correspondence. Hatalam Shalal Kathukfin. Questions? But now, how does this relate to you, and why should you even care? So, as we're coming out of this cycle of time into this new cycle of time, there had to be one or ones sent to tell you this and to prepare you for it. That's what Panabab Yananan said. That's his purpose. He said he only came to start the clock and to put things straight. He's not this religious teacher. He's not this spiritual teacher. He is just your reformer and warner.
Like a messenger.
He's a messenger with a message, that is true. But more importantly, a warner. And the warning is that this world is collapsing. Another world is beginning, and he's trying to prepare certain mentalities for this next cycle of time. Because as we go out of this 24,000 year cycle, this universe is getting ready to combine with another universe, and it'll be a dual verse. And he said you're going to start seeing different type of beings that have never been seen before.
Walking around among us.
Well, they're already among us.
But we'll see them.
You'll see them. He said you're going to start seeing strange beings that you've never seen before, because now we're going from a universe to a dual verse. And then the beings or the gods of the old cycle must leave. And those were the Anunnaki, the Dragonians, the Pleiadians, and the ones that met with Hitler.
So who's taking over?
Who's taking over is now coming in. Well, let me go. There was one. The Hitler met with the Pleiadians, and I think they were called Sabeans.
It was the blonde race.
Yeah, those are. I think they're called most of the Pleiadians are pale skinned and blonde, and I think some of it from Aldebaran are also. Those were the ones that met with Hitler. And that's why Hitler wanted to make blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, because the particular beings he met with were blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, and he took them to be gods. But all of those beings now have to leave. And if they don't, they'll get trapped here on this side, because that wormhole to where they exist is closing. And other dimensions are opening. And so that's why you're going to see an influx of different beings.
These wormholes... And once they're closed, they're closed. Once they open, they open. They have a specific time where they open and close.
They do have a specific time, open and close.
So with how intelligent those species are, they still are not able to control these wormholes.
That I can't say that they don't control those wormholes.
Because it looks like they're so dependent on that they have a schedule. And if they miss the bus...
Everything is scheduled. Even Nibiru, when it comes in and out of this in and out of our solar system, it's on a cycle every 3,600 years.
Didn't it come to us already? Didn't Nibiru pass us already?
Well, there's Nibiru, and then there's ships that come out. Nibiru is the size of Jupiter. Yeah, so it can't actually come into our solar system without causing irreparable damage. Yeah. So it's like on an elongated path.
So why did it like the NASA was like, yeah, Planet X is closer than whatever, right? It was like,
right.
It's like a fiery hot red planet.
Yeah. Okay. They call it Planet X. People say that Planet X is Nibiru, but they don't know. They just know there's something out there that seems to be moving and stopping and giving these oddities that it's not really a star.
So when those Pleiadians leave, what are the next beings coming into?
The Natharu, the Riskians.
What do they look like?
The Natharu of ancient Egypt. That's Asaru, Aset,
they're all coming
Horus.
Back.
Yes.
Horus is coming back too? Or is it going to be a new version?
Now, Horus is coming back. You call him Jesus.
I don't call him.
Well, not you, Saul. Not you, but people call him Jesus. All right. And the reason why I say that is because everything that you've read about a Jesus, there's no proof or evidence that a Jesus of Nazareth, of Bethlehem, Jerusalem ever existed. None. But there is proof and evidence that all these stories that we attribute to Jesus were first attributed to Haru or Horus, and then copied over to apply to Jesus.
Okay.
Now, we do know that Osiris and Aset or Isis existed because they found their tombs.
So they could come out of their graves, though? No?
No, that flesh is gone. But I'll come to that in a minute. But there is no proof that a Jesus existed. So now this goes into prayer. And this is one reason why I want you here. So a lot of people will pray to Yahweh or Yah, agreeable, Jah, agreeable, Way, disagreeable, El or El Elo, or of the Torah, or they'll pray to a Father, a Son, a Holy Ghost, a God, a Lord of the Bible, or they'll make certain Hail Marys to Mary, Mother of God of the Bible, or they'll pray to Allah, Alihat, and some even to Muhammad, even though Muslims will say, oh, we don't pray to Muhammad. But when I went to Mecca and then I went to Medina and we saw the tomb of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were people that were praying to Muhammad. And so I was asking my teacher, his name was Haji Fado, why are people praying to Muhammad? And he said, well, there's one time during the year that you can pray to Muhammad and Muhammad will hear you. But nowhere in the Quran does it say that. And so you'll get people that's making all these prayers to their various different gods. However, as Pandabayanan taught us, none of them get heard because when you pray, it has to be connected to your DNA. So your prayer goes through you, through your DNA ancestors, to the guardians who created your ancestors and you. His ancestors come forward. Let's say her name is Miriam, and you say something like, I call upon my ancestor, Miriam, whatever her last name is, mother of my mother or mother of my father, whatever the relationship is, to come forward and hear me. And then, well, let me just do how I would do it. I would say, I call upon my grandmother, Mary Hunt, mother of my mother, Ruth Mallory. I am your child. You are my ancestor. Hear me. And then I would say, thank you, Grandma, for coming forward and for hearing me. And then I would say, I have an issue or a challenge that I need your help with. And I will explain what that challenge is. If, according to Pandabayanan, if you want help with something in your life, your personal life, the Tito life, the Lonnie life, the Yuli life, the Son life, then you talk to your ancestors. However, if you want help with something to help people on a larger scale, then that's when you call upon the guardians, meaning the creators of your ancestors, to help you with whatever you're doing that applies to more than just yourself. That's how prayer works. But when the last cycle of time, they cut us off from that knowledge because they didn't want people connecting with their ancestors. They wanted you connecting with them. And this is the Anunnaki. Now, I'm going to talk about the Anunnaki. When the Anunnaki came here and started messing in the gene pool, they wanted people to populate. One, because they were running out of food. The Anunnaki.
I remember you telling this now.
And so what was happening was you had these groups of extraterrestrials who were at war. They had these groups of extraterrestrials who were warring with each other. The Draconian or reptilians were eating the Pleiadians. When the Pleiadians came to Earth, they were involved in trying to make their genetic experiments. And then they found the Anunnaki had come here after the Pleiadians. And so the Anunnaki started creating what people call Adam and an Eve. Really, they were creating a people that they could give instructions to do the work that they, the Anunnaki, didn't want to do. When they came, it was 900 in all. And then each ship carried 50 passengers. Those were called shams. There were 300 under Enki. Enki is... E-N-Q-I. master of earth, and his brother, Enlil, master of the sky. Now, Enki was the one tasked with finding the minerals, in particular the gold on Earth, to take back to their home planet to fix their ozone layer. Enki, however, started keeping the gold and wearing the gold and wasn't sending as much gold as he should have been to repair their world. So Anu, the leader of the Anunnaki, told Enlil to take over. Enlil with his 300, Enki, those were known as the seraphim, or the agreeable, what people call agreeable angels. And Enlil's group were known as the cherubims, the disagreeable type of angels. These beings were the ones responsible for doing the labor to get the gold, to put it onto the crafts, send it to a base on the moon, and then out of the solar system onto Nibiru, back to their home planet. And these beings, Anunnaki, didn't want to do the work. They felt it was too hard. And so they appealed to Enki to make a type of being who could do the physical work and could take orders. And this is what started the Adam and Eve project. They used their own DNA. Enki asked the Natharu, that's Osiris and Horus and Isis and them, if he could use Africans' DNA to help with the creation of this species. The Natharu gave him permission, and he used DNA from Africans. They used their own Anunnaki DNA. They used the DNA of the Canine and the Simian to make this new species of man. After they made this new species of man, they tasked the man, or the men or women, to mine this earth for the Anunnaki. But then, and this is where Genesis, I think, chapter 5 picks up, some of these Anunnaki under Enlil started having sex with these newly created women. And this pissed off Enlil and pissed off other Anunnaki. They became known, and they were barred from ever returning home, and they became known as the fallen angels, the ones who were the Nephilim, the ones who were kicked out and fell down. And that's why in the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, it talks about Iblis, or Satan, falling from heaven and being kicked out. That was those 200 under Enlil. They were kicked out and resided here on Earth and on the planet Titan around Saturn. But they're not allowed, they have no way to go through the wormhole to get back to their home planet. They're still here, causing mayhem. So those are those 200 fallen Elohim, or Anunnaki. But now, as this cycle of time is ending, they're going to leave and take refuge on Saturn. They can never return back to their home planet. And as these new beings come in, one had to be sent to prepare the way, to give you all of this information, as he calls it, outformation, because it's coming from out there to in here for you. Now, during this period of time, you're going to see a lot of upheavals, like we talked about in the previous weeks. That's why you see the Erdogan, the hardliners, the Erdogans, the Modi of India, I forgot the leader of Brazil, the Boris Johnsons, the guy in Israel, the Netanyahu, but now he's out of power. Now, even more hardliner is in power, the Trumps. Now, how does this relate to you? All of this is causing fear. When you got cops murdering people, you got the Trumpsters now feeling more free to be racist and to say racist things. You got the rise of the Karens. All of this, and then at the time of a pandemic, it is causing fear. When the body is under fear, your chakras start to pull back and collapse. And then that energy is no longer flowing. And this is what's happening on a global scale to people. The pandemic has caused people to go into fear. In America, suicides are rising because now the energy is, as a matter of fact, and the reason why Ahmed isn't here, as he was telling me this morning, is because his father is depressed and suicidal. So this is happening, and I had one of my friend's daughter, I think she was only 13, commit suicide. And this is an epidemic. This is not just here, but we can see how it affects us locally.
Doesn't fear? We produce a drug, right? When you're under fear and when you're scared.
Yes.
You produce something that could be harvested. Not harvested.
I was going to say, what do you mean harvest? But you're right. You're right. It is harvested. I'm going to come to that. I'm going to come to harvested, but you're looking for another word. But yes, you do produce, I don't want to say adrenaline, a hormone that your body literally produces that hormone that, yes, you can open up your body and get that hormone out. Now, I said I'm going to come back to harvested because there are beings that seek that particular hormone. There are secret societies that do sacrifice and eat kids because they want to put the child under so much stress and fear, and it's like a delicacy to them.
So
they eat kids.
Yes.
At what age? Sorry.
It had to be before age 12 and 13, or really before they have their menstrual cycle of female or an erection of male.
So he is coming here to warn us, or to give us the information.
Yeah, to warn you, yes.
Warning us from. Why is it a warning and like in a preparation if it's the Nathara people coming?
Right. Yeah.
So we are preparing for war, or we are preparing for, like, should we be scared?
No, you should not be scared.
Or should we be enlightened from the information?
You should not be scared, nor should you be enlightened. You should be endarkened. And I'll come to that in a minute. All right. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. So I'll start with the latter part first, the endarkenment versus enlightenment. Light is what started the problem. Before there was light, there was total darkness, and it was peace. With light came the differentiation of this versus that. And that started the comparison, and that started the problem. Everything is going back to black. As all these lights go out, then you reach that state of the all, where there's the absence of light. It's total black, there's total peace. Now, when we come to the first part of the question, which I just forgot. The fear. And then, all right. Yeah. You should not fear though what is going to happen. And what is going to happen is these wars and these abductions, and as we talked about these extraterrestrials, what are their plans? Some of the plans of these extraterrestrials is to use you as food. And they're using the DNA data banks that the 23andMe and all of this to determine who are their children and who are not. As he told us to stay away from those sites, the 23andMe and all this and DNA, because they're using that, the extraterrestrials are using that to catalog who are their children and who is not. And if they have an argument that you are their children, then they can abduct you and they can do whatever they want with you because you belong to them. And so he has come to warn us about that. And for those of us that are under the Natharu, we have that protection. A while ago, I don't know if, a while ago in this particular class, we talked about why don't you see many black people getting abducted? And the reason why is because Africans are under Panatharu, and these extraterrestrials that have been eating humans are not allowed to take Africans because we're under the Panatharu. Mm-hmm. And so there were cases where some blacks were abducted but immediately put back. Two particular cases come to mind. Betty and Barney Hill. He's black, she's white in Florida. And they were abducted, but because...
They returned him.
Yeah.
They ate her, right?
No, I think they returned her, but they might have done something to her. I forgot. They didn't do anything to him. And also, if you watch the movie The Fifth Kind, which is a documentary about what has been going on
Alaska.
in Alaska.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and they abducted a black guy there, but they put him back.
Yeah, they bring 'em back.
Yeah, but the other ones they abducted, you never heard from them.
So what do they do now? Are they food?
Yeah, they're food.
So they just go and think, now we gonna eat you now.
Yeah, just like you have a farm full of chickens or cows. That's how they view humans.
But wouldn't it be easy to abduct from the city too? There's so many people here, like.
But then everybody can see it.
Yeah, everybody can
It's
see it.
secluded.
Yeah. Nome, Alaska is very secluded. You can't even get there. You have to fly in.
No, that is true.
Because imagine going in the city in D.C. at nighttime. And
Well, you shouldn't bring the whole ship
I know.
flying over DC
But-
to
but-
get
yeah.
one.
But like going to the club, like everybody, like, what the hell
Right.
is that? And they're like,
You would think they would say something.
Why are they hiding?
Why? It's not that they are hiding. Well, let me go back. The planet was quarantined after this great, as the Bibles or the scriptures call the Great War of Heaven and Earth. There was this cataclysmic war. There was the those in India. I forgot what those deities
I
are
forgot
called.
what they called them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
the paintings of the nuclear
Yeah.
big war.
So these different cultures have the records of these wars. And then after that war, the planet was quarantined, and only certain ones, and this cycle was set up of who could come and win. But the Earth inhabitants were not to make contact with, according to the Intergalactic Confederation. To answer your question, they were not to make contact or interfere with Earth's development, even though some people, like the Pleiadians, have been doing that anyway. But it was quarantined, and the Intergalactic Confederation is the one that said they should not be interfering with the human development. What rules they have about interfering, that I don't know, but that was the reason Pontibabianun gave us, that it was an intergalactic confederation that set up the quarantine and determines who comes through which cycles.
So to go back to that question, so he's delivering this information.
Can a human kill one?
Can a human kill one of what? An Natharu? Yes and no. How can I have dual answers for that one question? When a Natharu, or when they come into human form, they are governed by the laws of human physics, and so that can be killed. But they're also shapeshifters.
what do they look like?
What do who look like?
The Natharu, what do they look like?
They look like you and me. He is Pontibabianun is 3 in 1. He's an Anunnaki, he's a Riskian, and he's a Natharu.
So he can shapeshift.
Yes. Well, according to what some people have reported, he has shapeshifted. Reptilians shapeshift. But going back to the questions, can they be killed? Yes. When they come into physical form, they can be killed. He reported that he had 3 friends that were Greys that would come and visit him. Creel, Alamar, and Syed would always visit him as a child. And one of them was killed in Kentucky on a farm. A farmer shot one with a shotgun. And so I forgot which one was killed, but they were killed. And then one of his last letters, he mentioned that he was surprised to see them because after that particular Grey was killed, and they took that particular Grey back home and did whatever they did, and so that Grey was back to living, according to Pontibabianun. But going back to Lonnie, why all of this is because we are changing worlds, going into a new cycle of time. You're going to see a lot of upheaval. You're going to see a lot of lies, and this is all to get you into a state of fear. When you are in a state of fear, you are producing a certain aura, a certain energy, a certain thing that attracts them. And they can come to you physically, and they can come to you in your dreams. They love to torture you. And when you're in a state of fear, you attract them. Only when you are calm to yourself, those chakras are open and burning bright, are you in tune with nature. And when you're in tune with nature, nature will protect you. You won't have to worry. You'll know where to go, when to go. And this is one of the reasons why I smile so much. People say, like the song says, I don't get upset, because when you're in tune with nature, you don't fear any of these things.
Now, when you're saying it's going to become a dual universe and you're going to see
different beings,
physical?
Physical. Okay. Yes.
This reminds me of this show I watched called The Fringe.
Oh yeah, Fringe, yeah.
Where they're able, it's two worlds, eventually, and they would travel through pockets, like to the other dimension. It's just another dimension. But it's
That's called Fringe. You sure?
The Fringe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, I don't know if we're talking about the same show, but it's two dimensions. It's the same Earth, two dimensions, right? Mm-hmm. But one Earth they live in through different, spaces and times, and they're able to. There are special doorways that connect these universes together for people to be able to travel from those. Okay.
You just brought something.
It's the same Earth,
right?
But they live on a different, in this life, in this Earth. You're here teaching us, but in a different Earth where they come from. Maybe you own a company, you're sitting, somewhere on the 50th floor,
right?
With a different,
Gotcha. You just made me think of something I forgot to talk about. We talked about the 24,000-year cycles. There have been many 24,000-year cycles of this Earth before this one. There have been many technologies, many worlds more advanced than this one. Even though people like to say, "Oh, this is the most advanced Earth," it's not the most advanced.
It's impossible.
As Panabab Yanun taught us, some of the grays that you see are not really grays. They're humans from our future who have come back. And in some of these previous cycles of time, you would be able to walk from here and straight into Sirius or into Orion. Those were gateways. There were gateways here on Earth that would allow you to just walk straight through that gateway and into Sirius or into Orion, controlled by Panatharu. But when other beings started coming here and mixing in the DNA, those Natharu closed down those gateways. And then people lost the formula of how to open a gateway. Those gateways are needed. Gotta sneeze away. Those gateways are needed to be opened by a certain being or beings whose body radiate a certain frequency. Those that have the frequency, which is like the mipta, the key to open those gateways, are called, do you remember, Tito?
Hermaphrodites and hermaphrodites and hermaphrodites.
Hermaphrodites and hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites are beings that have male and female characteristics. They might be male but have breasts, or have the body of a woman. Those are your hermaphrodites, or your hermaphrodites, who identify as a woman that has very manly features. And the one that comes to mind for hermaphrodites is there's a sprinter, a track star in South Africa. Simeon, I think her name is.
That's Semenya.
Yeah. She's a hermaphrodite, and there's an uproar that she shouldn't be racing against women because she looks like a man. She's built like a man, but she identifies as a woman. She has woman body parts, but she looks like a man. She is a hermaphrodite. Now, she has double the frequency that a normal person would have. Let's say the normal frequency of a human being is 412, then she would be double that, 824. The famous hermaphrodite that comes to mind is the most controversial pharaoh of ancient Egypt, Akhenaten. He was Akhenaten. Never heard of him. Oh, okay. Can you bring up Akhenaten? And Castor Simeon?
Simeon.
All right. So,
Question.
answer.
Does this have any relation to what's happening now in our culture
Yes.
with trans?
Yeah. You're so on point. Yes. All right. So now, and again, I have to keep in mind, how does this relate to you?
Okay.
So, the hermaphrodites and the hermaphrodites, as I mentioned, vibrate at double the frequency, and they are keys to opening gateways. As Pandabab Yanun said, they are needed for certain rituals and rites that he has to perform. And he had mentioned that they arrested him in 2002 as their cycle was ending as the year 2000, and ours was beginning. Let me come back to that. In 2000, so they arrested him so that he could not perform those rituals. As we just saw on the screen, this is what is it? Castor Simeon, is it? Semenian. Now, a lot of sports figures are saying that she should not be competing against women. Semenya. Because she is a woman, but her body is like that of a man. She runs like a man, and she's just destroying all the competition. And so now they're crying foul. But she is a woman, but she is a hermaphrodite. Now, she has double the frequency that a normal, I shouldn't say normal, get rid of that. She has double the frequency that one person would have. She has double that. And that energy is what is needed to open the gateway that the Natharu closed, so you can no longer walk from here and into Sirius or into Orion. Going to Alani's question, so what are those rituals? Pandabab Yanun has not said. When we created Tamaray in Georgia, which was Egypt of the West, those rituals were supposed to be performed there. But they arrested him in 2002 and destroyed Tamaray specifically because they don't want those rituals to be enacted. It's like kicking the can down the road. Those rituals open up those gateways and bring in other energies. They don't want those energies here, and so they have him under arrest and locked up in hopes that he'll die.
He's been arrested since 2002?
May 8th, 2002.
That's a long time.
That is a very long
Is he a
time.
lifer?
137 years?
They even released the guys from 9/11.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy.
So why would they release him?
I'm telling you why. I just told you why.
Because they don't want.
Yes.
They don't want us to find the truth.
No, they know you're going to get the truth, but they want to hold on to power for as long as they can. So now we're talking about a hermaphrodite, that is Akhenaten. And as you can see, Akhenaten has like the hips of a woman, and he had like the chest or the breast of a woman. So he also had double the vibration of a single human being. And Akhenaten is the one who is credited with monotheism. Yeah, monotheism. Because before that, in Egypt, there were many different gods under the god Amun. When Akhenaten assumed the throne, he outlawed all of the gods except for the god Atum, A-T-U-M.
But they assassinated him, right? For that? Or
Yeah, that's a good question. I forgot how Akhenaten died.
because they were.
I don't think he was assassinated, but when he died, they started erasing the memory of him.
Because they didn't like the idea that it was he unified like the gods, because they had a god of crop.
Well, no, it doesn't. It's not that they didn't like that he unified the gods. They didn't like that he banned their gods. There's a difference.
It took away.
It
took away.
It took away what?
From that chance that, or like the power almost from those different, like the god of crop, for example. There's no longer god of crop because you're praying to one god now. So whomever was the god of crops and the house or the followers for that house felt, that they were robbed of power.
Oh well, yeah, that's true too. But yeah, it was that they could no longer observe the god before Atun. It was the god Amun, and there was a lot of priests under Amun who were now out of a job unless they came under Akhenaten, the god Atun. Now going back to Coretta's question, how does that relate to what is going on today with transgender and that and the likes? Very good question. So as I start watching, seeing the transgender and all these things coming out, there is a relation between what was and what is. And I find it amusing, actually, because it is the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, and the gods of the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, these religious texts that have made homosexuality or anything of that sort frowned upon, wrong, illegal, and said that these people should be killed. Now, that meant that people who were hermaphrodites or were on that spectrum of homosexual, lesbian, bisexual, they had to go into hiding or secrecy because the rulership of the day was to be Christian or to be Muslim or to be Jew, to have some sort of religion and to be proud of that particular religion, even if it condemns homosexualities or it was good to be a part of that particular fraternity, if you will, that religious fraternity. Now that is, the institutions of religion are starting to collapse, you're starting to see more people come out on that spectrum of male, female. And now, when the Anunnaki came here, there's something else I have to tell you about the Anunnaki, that they were having their own problems on their planet-sized ship called Nibiru. On Nibiru, there were also reptilians that lived on Nibiru, as well as the Anunnaki.
Reptilians also lived on Nibiru?
Yes.
I don't know how big Nibiru is.
It's the size of Jupiter.
It's huge.
Man.
Yeah, it's huge.
But I thought, okay, so that means reptilians knew the Anunnaki prior to...
Yeah. Well, it's like they're dispersed throughout the universe. So you could have some reptilians in a part of the universe who have never met the Anunnaki, or some Anunnaki who have never met some species of the reptilians. But on Nibiru, they were allowed to come into Nibiru. And there was an argument on Nibiru, because as Nibiru would pass through the universes, sometimes it would get closer to a sun, sometimes it would get farther away. The Anunnaki liked the sunlight, and so they liked when, we would go closer, and the reptilians liked when we go farther away.
The Anunnaki looked at the reptilians as second-class citizens, or were they of equal? Because, maybe that's a concept.
Let me go back to that. They were not equal in the sense that a reptilian could rule Nibiru. Nibiru had he had to be of a certain genetic line from Anu and his half-sister. They gave birth to Enlil.
So they were following an Anunnaki ruling under Nibiru's ship, right? But as in, like, when it comes to, when you choose, people to take something and you have like a preference, or like you would choose, if an Anunnaki leader is choosing, right, a team, would you have a preference for choosing an Anunnaki members over reptilians? If you have a room full of Anunnaki and reptilians, and you're Anunnaki, and you're trying to identify a squad of 4 or 5 people,
Right.
would you be more inclined of choosing Anunnaki people than you would be to choose a reptilian?
Yeah, the Anunnaki, the leader of the Anunnaki was Anu. He was the leader of the Anunnaki. The reptilians were allowed to.
They had a leader?
And Anu, he's the leader. He's the leader of all the Anunnaki. That's why they bear his name, Anunnaki.
But he was also leading reptilians.
The reptilians were allowed to live on Nibiru that belonged to the Anunnaki because of whatever problems they were having in their star system. They were given refuge in Nibiru. But they too had their leader, but that leader was not in charge of Nibiru or Anunnaki. But coming back to these hermaphrodites and these hermaphrodites and how that relates to what's happening today. When they had a war on the Anunnaki and the reptilians on Nibiru, and a lot of the males got killed. When they came to here, Earth, after that was all done, many of the species wanted to populate. This is why they started having sex with human women. But they banned homosexuality because they wanted people to reproduce for a couple of reasons. One, the disagreeable of them wanted the women. And 2, they wanted people to do the work that they didn't want to do. And 3, they wanted to provide a food source for the reptilians and those Anunnaki under Enlil. So there's a reason why they needed people to reproduce, as the Bible says, reproduce, not produce, but reproduce again, and repopulate the earth. And so this is one of the reasons why they wanted to ban anything dealing with homosexuality, not because it was evil or, as some people would say, unnatural. I'm going to come to the unnatural part. Now, this caused, the birth of religion is what caused people who might be hermaphrodite or hermaphrodite or gay or bisexual or transgender to want to hide. And now that world of religion is coming down, now the will of people is coming up and out. And so now we're starting to see, according to the doctrine of polarity given us by Panabab Yanun as Tihuti. Now, I don't want to lose you. I mentioned that Panabab Yanun is a combination of 3 people, 3 beings. The Anunnaki, or 2 Anunnaki, Murdoch and Ninkish Zeta, but currently Ninkish Zeta, and the Natharu Tihuti, and the Riskian Yanun. Now, coming back to that, I lost my train of thought. What's up, Sam? Okay. So when they were having their beef on Nibiru, and then all of these religions under the same beings, the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran are all under the same beings, being the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki of Sumeria. So now we're starting to see that according to the doctrine of Tihuti, the doctrine of polarity, which states if there is male, you must have female. But none of these are absolutes, because within male there is female, and within female there is male. You know that simply by looking at X is female or male? XY is male. X is female, but you see Also, there's Y in the female, or male and female, and you see that there's an X in male, which is female and male. So they're not absolutes. Now, on this spectrum, if there's, the wisdom of Tahuti says, if there is male and female, then there is also, exactly.
Risk is so good.
So if there is male and female, as you start coming to the center, you also get he, she, or male, female, and she, he, or female, male. Just as you have cold water, you might have hot water, and in the center would be warm. Most religions ignore this middle spectrum. They say you have to be either this or this. And if you're anywhere in between, you don't belong, you don't fit. And that's not true. That's not right knowledge. That's religion, faith, belief, and hope, not backed up by actual fact. The fact is, you have that spectrum, and there's people that are on that spectrum. For instance, J. Edgar Hoover was identified as male, but he liked to dress up in female clothes, but he had a wife and children. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you might have, like, the track star we just saw, Castor Sabean, who is a female, but has the body structure of a male. And so now you're starting to see people come out and say, well, I was born a male, but I really feel like a female. Or I was born a female, but I really feel like a male. And as Panabab Yanun taught us, is that happens, I forgot at which stage in pregnancy, but you could be born with a male body and a female spirit, or a female body and a male spirit. And that's what you are seeing in these children who identify as transgender. For all their life, they were born boy, but they never felt like a boy, and never thought as a boy. They felt like and feel like a girl. All right, so here we are looking at transgender recruiting clinical trials.
Throughout the years.
Throughout the years.
Okay, all right. Wow, you see how... Wow, it takes, what years? I can't see. Can you get rid of this back? Okay. In 2017, how it jumped. Now let's see the other vertices.
Versus 2002.
Is this in the thousands? Do we know? Or just?
Oh, I would think so.
All right. What was that? The type? What's the title? Okay. Yeah, I would imagine this to be thousands. But as you can see, from end of one cycle, 2000, the end of religion, as religion is collapsing, now people are feeling free to come out. Any questions? Yeah, Ms. Coretta, what questions do you have? I was trying to answer your question.
Well, that answered my question, but I wanted to ask something of you, so I'm imposing on your time a little bit. So aside from this class, because you touched on it a bit this morning, I wanted to find out if you would do like a separate class, briefly, it doesn't have to be 2 hours, on prayer.
Okay, on prayer. All right, no, that's very important. Let me cover that. All right, so prayer. This is very interesting coming from a female. You're not a transgender, right? No, I'm joking with you. Don't answer that. No, I'm just joking with you. Prayer. Prayer is the art of speaking without listening. It has to be complemented. It has to be complemented with meditation, which is the art of listening without speaking. Now, earlier we talked about how to make your prayer effective is to reach out and through your DNA ancestors, going back 4 generations. Your parents, if they're on the other side, your grandparents, if they're on the other side, your great-grandparents, if they're on the other side, and your great-great-grandparents, if they're on the other side. That's if you would pray to them if you want something for you, a benefit for you. Now, it's very important, this next part, is when you open your prayer, you give gratitude. You thank your particular ancestor or ancestors for coming, granting you an audience for you to speak with them. It's equally as important when you close your prayer, you give gratitude. You thank them for being there, for hearing you, and for speaking with you. That's most important, because gratitude is the highest form of your vibration that allows you to receive universal energies. Now, when you pray, this is also important, and you ask for something for you, is that maybe it's you want a problem solved or something that you want, then you leave it there at the altar. You leave whatever that thing is, you leave it there at the altar of your ancestors, and you go on about your day in the expectation that your answer is coming. So as you go through your day, you're still doing your work, you're still doing whatever you do, but in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, I wonder how my ancestors are going to answer me. They are going to answer you, and now you're looking for that answer. But now, what you don't do is you take it to your ancestors, and then you pick it back up and still worry about it and try to solve it yourself. Because if you got that sting, Tito. If Tito is my my ancestor, and I go to Tito and I'm asking him to take care of something for me, and then I go on about the rest of my day. Mm-hmm. Now, what most people do is they'll, whether it's a god or whoever, they'll take it to their god or their ancestor, and then do this. Because now I'm still going to hold on to that worry. I'm still going to hold on to my stress. I'm going to still hold on to my anxiety. And so the next time I come back to Tito, my ancestor, he's going to be like, yeah, because I didn't trust him. And I say that to say, when you communicate with your ancestors, you leave it there at their altar for them to answer it. That means you free yourself of the stress of trying to figure it out. You free yourself of the anxiety of trying to figure it out. And then you replace that with waiting for and looking for, most importantly, their response. That is the mipta, or the key to having an effective prayer for yourself. Does that answer the first part of your question? I want to talk to another part. Coretta.
Yes, it does. It does, kind of. But what if you've never prayed to your ancestors? So
right.
How do you begin that dialogue?
Okay. All right. So if you have never prayed to your ancestors, which a lot of us, most of us, nearly all of us haven't, because it's not been taught within this last 6,000 year cycle of time, except to certain pockets of people. So how do I make that connection? You would first create a prayer or meditation area, and you use that specific area for that specific purpose, your prayer and your meditation. And then you set up a frequency, meaning I'll do this every Thursday at 9 or every day at whatever time. You want to get into a habit of creating that space just for you. You can worry about children and loved ones and everyone else later. That's your space. Then when you're in that space, you begin, like as I mentioned earlier, just as I was saying, this is exactly how you would do it. And it's exactly how I do it. I sit down, normally something else. If you really, the most opportune time to connect with your ancestors is in between 2 and 3 2 and 3 a.m. It's really around like 3:30, and so that's why we say it's good to meditate or to pray in between 2 and 3 a.m. because that's when that gateway is open, and so that's important. But you can pray at any time, and how you would do that, Coretta, is you would create that space, and as I do it, I sit down, I have a picture of my ancestor, my grandmother, or if you don't have a picture, that's fine, but if you do, it only increases the effectiveness. You have a picture of your ancestor, a white candle, some incense, and particularly a white linen cloth. That's your altar. Now, the words you would say are these. I would say you establish what we talked about, that bridge. You would say, by way of my mother's mother's mother, or my father's father's father, going all the way back to my root soul seed, those from whom I've come, I ask that my grandmother Mary Hunt, my mother, come forward and hear me. And you let your body relax. And then you speak to your ancestor as though they are there. And I'd say, thank you, grandmother, for coming forward to hear me. I have an issue that I need your help with. And then I explain my issue as though she's right there with me, as I'm talking to you right now. And then I say, when I'm closing, I'll say, well, I want to thank you for coming forward. I want to thank you for hearing me. And I want to thank you for helping me. And I look forward to speaking with you again. And I look forward to you answering my request. And then you leave it at that. And then you go on about your day, doing whatever you do, with the expectation that, and looking forward to your ancestors, your ancestor or ancestors, whoever you called on, to help you. Does that end? Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. The other part I was going to say is, what if you want to do something on that for other people, more than just yourself? That's when you call upon the Natharu, or the guardians, who are the creators of your ancestors. They're the ones that help you go global, if you will, on a larger scale when you want to do something that's more than just yourself. But first, let's just deal with us and what we want. That's how you would have an effective prayer. And I would say put it to a test. Start tonight with think about something that you need help with, want help with, and take it to your ancestor. And then, like a scientist, put it to a test and see if it happens.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome. Any questions before we close? Yeah, well, welcome, Lamar. I didn't see you join, but now we're ending. Lamar, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
I'm doing well. Did you have any questions before we close?
Everything is doing great.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Son, Lonnie, Tito, Sam? All right. I want to thank you all for attending. And next week I won't be here, so we'll have to pick up the following week.